Let's get you the latest on the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. A new witness will take to the stand on Monday. That's Sgt Mogale. This, as Sgt Vusumuzi Mogane has been stood down for now at least. That's to allow the defense to get copies of the so-called AVL expert that was on the stand's report detailing certain dates and the vehicle movement of those dates where accused number 2 is concerned. Accused number 2's defense team argued that their client was coerced and he was also assaulted into making a confession statement. We speak to Elton Hart from the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic about the trial within the trial, its pace and what we have seen so far. Thank you very much, Elton, for your time this afternoon. That the case has been stood down and the cross-examination of Sgt Mogane will continue at a later state, unknown at this stage, as we await that AVL report from the so-called expert. One, is that unusual? Should that report not have been readily available for the defense?
No, indeed, for a defense team to prepare their defense properly, and specifically when we talk about the admissibility of this evidence now, the confessions, because that's eventually what the trial within the trial is trying to attempt, is to say, is the confession that was made by accused 1 and 2 admissible as evidence or not? And those information that an expert is going to testify, how I know and how it's supposed to work, be it in a lower court or in a higher court. When an expert is going to testify about specific things, you need a summary of his evidence that he or she is going to give, and they need to give you the full report. On the day, they will give the full report, and then you will then listen to what they have to say, and then you work out your cross-examination. But obviously, you need that report in front so that you can actually consult with your client. Now, I see there's a lot of sentiment around people saying that the lawyers is ill-prepared coming to court, but because they don't get the information on time, that's why they have to go back to their clients every time to take an instruction, and it looks like they are ill-prepared. They are ill-prepared in the sense that they never had the documents to sit down with them in a proper consultation and take proper instructions, and hence it's also now having an effect on the progress that we have in going through the trial within the trial with a sort of okay speed. That's why there's a lot of delays happening.
I would like for us perhaps to just not focus on the AVL evidence that we heard and the testimony or cross-examination of Sgt Mogane, because that has been stood down. So to do justice to that, I guess we'll pick it up when that also resumes. But when you speak of the pace of this trial and the allegations against the defense team that they at times appear to be ill-prepared, should this not have been dealt with at pre-trial hearing?
No, indeed, in pre-trial, they should deal with it, and especially that advocate below. He knew from the get-go that he wants to actually get these confessions in here to tell the guys, listen here, I'm going to rely on these confessions. And it was only like somewhere when the trial already commenced that it seems like now it came to light that he wants to actually now have a trial within a trial. And even at that stage, when you knew this is the witnesses that you will come and call, like the Jonathans, the Moganes, and all these other people that escorted the people to the various destinations where these confessions were taken, the pointing outs were made. You were supposed to give the evidence and make the state or the defense aware of what evidence you're going to use so that they can actually consult. But it also doesn't help if the trial has to run every day. So for the attorneys to consult, they need to make arrangements with the prison so that they can sit with the clients in prison and actually consult. So if they have to be in court, then that time for the attorneys to consult, it's limited. Because at 3:30, normally the prisons get locked. So for the night period now, so then a prisoner cannot be outside, or a waiting trialist cannot be outside for consultation. So that's all the things that is like of administrative, logistical nature that we don't necessarily take cognizance when the running of the trial. And it's not like these guys are ill-prepared. It's just the timing of when they get the information. Then they need to consult. And sometimes in court, there's not privacy. You need privacy. Then you have to stand down so that they can actually have some sort of privacy to actually get proper instructions from the client. And that plays in on the delay of the case. And I think that also hampers how the defense actually prepare their defenses pertaining to these confessions and admissions, or these confessions and pointing out that the state is attempting to actually get declared admissible so that they can use it in the main trial.
Let's take a look at the cases of the state and the defense. Like you mentioned, the end goal here is for the court to come to a determination whether the alleged confession statements can be admitted as evidence. So far in this trial, within a trial, where do you see it going? What is the case of the defense? What is the case of the state?
I mean, at the beginning, the police officers, and hence I said I don't trust them on a previous occasion. I don't trust them how they give evidence, because it looks like the evidence is succinct, and they said we moved from Alberton to Boksburg, from Boksburg to this. It's like no stops in between. Now the AVL logs comes up, and the AVL logs is showing that there were certain stops. And obviously, if you go and plot it on a map, you'll see that maybe there is some information that is going to contradict the evidence that was given by, like, a guy like Jonathan. I think his partner was Lessing, and then it's Mogane that's testifying currently, but obviously we'll revisit that. And there was other guys that also testified. So if we plot it on, then you can now actually recall those witnesses to say, listen here, you said you never stopped there, but here on the vehicle that you were driving, you stopped at this venue. So what is the correct one? Did you stop or not? Then you can actually, so then it will mean that the defense has to recall those witnesses, and hence, that's why they stopped now with Mogane, so that the expert can first give the evidence, then they can now go back to Mogane and say, but this is what the expert is saying, what do you have to say about that? And that's what the defense team is aiming to do, and I think Mr. Baloyi doesn't really want to go in that direction, but the defense is pushing in that direction. So he also made certain concessions that they did stop along the road, and also on, I think on the 22nd, it was one of the days that the Toyota Fortuner, whose AVL logs they have, was not the vehicle that was used to actually transport the accused person. So that works in favor of the defense. So the mere fact that there's discrepancies, and these police officers that already testified was adamant that they didn't do, and now it was the Fortuner. So if these things, I would ask for the defense to say, listen, yeah, recall those guys and say, what vehicle were you testifying? If I've missed that, maybe that they did say what vehicle they say, but on that day, your own colleague said, you were driving that vehicle and he was in charge of you guys because he instructed you where to take these people and where to deliver them. What do you have to say about that? Then you can confront them, and maybe their lies or the untruth will be uncovered in that process.
Allegedly. Elton Hart, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Elton Hart is with the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic.